Welcome, everyone. This is an upper body strength routine. So, we're going to be working the muscles of the upper body, the chest, the shoulders, the back, and we're going to put a big emphasis on the postural muscles and the rotator cuff muscles that keep our shoulders healthy and keep us in good posture. We're going to warm up by getting the wrists ready to go. So you'll come down onto your hands and knees and you lift the palms, pressing into the fingers firmly. These are called finger push-ups. And as you go, you can put more and more weight into the hands, and this will make the wrists and fingers have to work harder. We'll move on to there with some wrist rocks. So now you're going to rock the shoulders in front of the wrists and then back behind. As you rock forward, you should feel a big stretch through the back of the forearm. You want to push yourself here, but nothing too intense. Just push yourself lightly. You can go ahead and shake it out. And we'll move into our first movement, which is the bird dog. So you're going to start on your hands and knees, and then you're going to straighten the opposite limbs. So I reach forward with my arm and I kick my opposite leg backwards. I want to straighten the elbow and straighten the knee. Now, bird dogs are a great exercise to start with because they train the core and the hips and the shoulders to all work together. This is going to promote optimal shoulder health and put a big emphasis on those postural muscles that'll keep us looking good. Notice that I keep my neck in alignment with the rest of my spine by tucking my chin and looking down. We're going to do 10 on each side. And each rep, see if you can feel the movement a little bit smoother. See if you can feel the glute muscles of the hip. See if you can feel the back of the shoulder turning on to really reach your arm out in front of you. And last rep on both sides, you can pause for a moment in that in position to really feel yourself stabilize there and relax. And now, after you shake it out a little bit, I want you to lie down onto your stomach in a prone position for a W. W's are an excellent exercise for training the muscles between the shoulder blades and training the rotator cuff muscles. So bring your elbows below your shoulders right to your side, and then you're going to lift the elbows up as high as you can, but I want you to also keep the hand up high as well. That's going to keep the shoulder in external rotation. Now when you lift, you should feel the muscles between your shoulder blades light up. Once again, I like to keep my chin tucked here to keep the neck neutral with the rest of the spine. And I also keep a little bit of tension in my butt muscles so I don't overarch through the lower back. We want all of this movement driven by the upper spine and the shoulders. And on our 10th rep here, we're going to pause in that up position. I really want you to squeeze here. Squeeze harder than you think that you can. We're going to stay here for 10 seconds. And relax. And before we move on, we're going to spend a little bit of time stretching the spine here. So we're just going to move into this Cobra position. You can kind of press your chest up big, keeping your hips on the ground. That's going to put that spine in extension. And now you can rock your hips back into a child's pose, really reaching the arms out in front of you and letting the whole backside expand. Okay. Shake it out a little bit. I'm always shaking my wrists when I'm doing upper body movements, and we are going to move into some push-ups. If you can't do a full push-up, do as I do. Start in a plank, lower yourself down, squeezing your core muscles, set the belly down, and then push yourself up through a knee push-up. Return to the plank and repeat. This is all about building the strength through doing the negative portion of the push-up. And for those of you who can do push-ups, we're going to lower down slow and controlled. Make sure to kiss the belly/chest to the ground and then push yourself back up firmly. I like to push the shoulder blades all the way to the sides of the rib cage at the top of each repetition. This really makes your shoulder blades go through full range of motion. Make sure that you're keeping enough core tension and your butt squeezed to keep your spine nice and stable. We don't want to see the lower back arch excessively through the push-up. And on this last rep, I'm going to hold at the bottom position for 5 seconds and push yourself back out. relax. Hey, you just made it through round 1. How's it feel? So check in with your body, as I always say. See how you're feeling. Take a little time to shake it out. And as we move into these next rounds, the exercises will get more challenging. Now, if they are out of your ability, you always have the option to do the variation that we did on round 1. But I know you're strong. Let's do it. So lie down on your back for one of my favorite core strengtheners, the dead bug. Bring your arms above your shoulders and your knees above your hips. And now reach and extend opposite limbs, just as you did in the bird dog previously. Now straighten the knee and elbow all the way and try to get the leg and arm as close to the ground as possible, hovering right above it. Keep your core tensed up and avoid any ribcage arching. Think about keeping your lower back flat to the ground and maintaining this position as you move through the hip and the shoulder. This is one of the greatest ways to train your hips and shoulders to work properly on a neutral spine. We're doing 8 repetitions on each side. The reason why these movements are so beneficial is because we're using this contralateral pattern, which is the opposite limbs moving at the same time. Now, this is the same pattern that we use when we walk or run or crawl. It's a very basic, fundamental human pattern, but something that can be lost over time. Go ahead and relax, and when you feel ready, go ahead and flip on over onto your stomach into a prone position. In this round, we will do the W to Y. So we begin doing our same W from last round, pulling the elbows back, keeping tension behind the shoulder, then raise the arms overhead to a Y position. Return back to your W and repeat. Keep tension behind the shoulders the whole time and try to keep your elbows as high above the ground as you can. Remember to keep the spine in good alignment by keeping some tension in your core and butt muscles, and you can place your nose or forehead on the ground to keep the neck in alignment with the rest of the spine. We are doing 14 repetitions. Keep that back of the shoulder squeezed throughout this whole motion. And on this last rep, we're going to hold in the W position for 5 seconds. By now, between the shoulder blades should be on fire. Hold that and relax. Awesome job. We can move into stretching the spine in this Cobra position. And when you feel ready, sit the hips back into a child's pose position, stretching the arms and spine overhead. And we'll move back to our basic push-up. The reason why push-ups are one of the most effective exercises out there is because you can train your core and body alignment while you're working your shoulders and chest. So whether you need to use the lowering to knees variation or the full push-up, I want you to focus on keeping a perfect plank position through your core throughout the whole 8 reps here. That means really squeezing the core, squeezing the butt, and letting the shoulders move around this stable spine. And on our last repetition, let's hold at the bottom position for 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and press yourself back up. Awesome job. 8 solid push-ups under control. Now, if you haven't caught the vibe quite yet, each round we're starting with a core exercise, then moving to a back exercise, and then doing our pressing exercise with the push-up. So that means we're headed into the third round and we're doing our third core exercise. Now remember, you can always do an exercise from the previous round. I'm going to begin with a knee tuck to a leg lift lower. That means tuck your knees up to your hips, straighten the legs, and then lower them down under control. And now, if you have the ability to, we'll keep the knees straight and we'll raise up and down. This is a regular leg lift, but I want you to put the priority on keeping your lower back glued into the ground. If the lower back is arching, that means that we're losing tension in our core. Make sure to keep that lower spine stable, and this movement will come from the core and the hip flexors working efficiently. We're going to do 12 total repetitions, and if at any time these are starting to get too fatiguing, go back to the previous variation of bending the knees first. On the last rep, I'll hold with my legs about 30 degrees off the ground for around 5 seconds. And relax. That should really burn out the core muscles there. You should really be feeling it in those abs. And if you've been doing follow-alongs with me for a while, you will know the crab press. One of my favorite exercises because it stretches the chest and shoulders and strengthens the back muscles. Open the shoulders, press the hands right behind your hips, and then lift your hips up into a tabletop position. Make sure to roll the shoulders back and keep your chest open for each press. Really squeeze the muscles between your shoulder blade. Push the ground away and squeeze your butt to bring the hips up. As you progress in this movement, you'll start to feel stronger in the shoulder and back, and you'll feel more of an openness throughout the front of your shoulder and chest. That's 6 reps. We have 4 more to go. And on this last rep, I want you to hold for 5 to 10 seconds, squeezing your butt, squeezing between the shoulder blades, and also breathing. Relax. Excellent job. I want you to take a few moments here to shake it out, to breathe, and to get ready for our pressing exercise next. Our next pushing movement is the Pike Pushup. This is a very challenging form of the push-up and something that you will probably need to work towards. I recommend that you try it out, see if you're able to do it. If not, you can switch to our regular form of the push-up, or you can do half pike press, half regular push-up. You're going to start in a downward dog position with the hips high. You will bring your head and shoulders straight forward in front of your hands, bending the elbows straight back. Bring the head down towards the ground to make a triangle between the head and the hands and press yourself back up. You will be able to make this harder by putting more weight into the shoulders, or easier by keeping more weight in your legs. Getting your head down to the ground is the goal, but if you need to stop earlier in the beginning stages of doing this, that's completely fine. I want you to get 8 total pushes here. So if you were able to do 2 pike push-ups, do 6 more regular push-ups. Or maybe you're doing all 8 of the lower down push-ups. Whatever it is, just make sure that you're at 8 total by the end of this set. Fantastic job, everyone. Those can be really taxing on the body. They're hard on the shoulders and the wrists, and they build a lot of strength. So take a good break here. Relax. Round 4, guys. Our final core exercise is the reverse crunch. I love the reverse crunch because it works the lower portion of the core and ab muscles. You'll need something to grab onto overhead. The leg of a table works great. So you'll grab that to stabilize yourself. Bend the knees and under control, rock them up to the chest, bringing the hips and the lower back off the ground. Then gently reverse the motion under control. You should really feel your hip flexors and your lower ab muscles doing all the work here. If you want to challenge yourself more, bring the hips higher and take the motion very slow. Your core muscles will be screaming after 10 repetitions. And that is 10 repetitions. Ooh, those core muscles will be burning, but you can rest easy knowing that that is the final core movement for the day. We've been putting a big emphasis on the core and proper spine alignment. This is because when you have your rib cage and spine in the correct position, your shoulder blades and your shoulder will function correctly. You'll be able to use all of those smaller muscles of the shoulder that make up the rotator cuff and the smaller muscles that control the shoulder blade that makes a really stable and healthy shoulder unit. And when you're healthy and stable in the shoulder and the spine, this will lead to better posture. And of course, it will be easier to then add strength. And now this is the most challenging version of the crab press. This is keeping the knees straight. So as always, if you need to do the regular crab press, then you can do that. But if you're up for the challenge, keep the knees straight, raise the hips, and this will be more demanding on the shoulders. Make sure to keep your shoulders rolled back. Do not let that chest cave in. If you find that you're getting rolled forward in the shoulder, then just go back to the regular crab press and try this the next session. That's 5 reps, 3 more to go. Last rep, as always, hold for 5 to 10 seconds here. Really squeeze between the shoulder blades, squeeze your butt, and keep breathing. Excellent work, everyone. Now, because these exercises are so demanding, we're going to take about a minute break here. So do whatever you want to do for this next minute before we head into our last exercise of the day. Now, because this is our last exercise of the day, we're going to make it really challenging. We're going to do 1 pike push-up and then 1 regular push-up. So I'll start with my hips high, go into my pike push-up. I'll then flatten out my hips and come to a plank position for a normal push-up and then move back to the pike. Do what feels best for you. But on this last set, we're going to get 10 total reps. I want you to try your hardest to get 10 total reps of whatever versions fit you best. So I'm going to bring my head forward in front of my hands, kiss the ground, press back up. I'm going to bring my feet back, get to my strong plank position, and perform a normal push-up. I scoop my feet forward, hips high, and move back to my pike push-up. 7 more reps, guys. We got this. And as I move into my last 4 reps here, I gotta check in with you guys. Are you keeping that core squeezed? Are you keeping that butt tight? We want to see that good technique and form here, no matter which variation that you're doing. And remember that every time you come back to this follow along, you're going to feel a little bit stronger and you're going to be able to do a little bit more. You're going to be able to do better technique. You're going to be able to do harder variations of the movements. It all comes over the course of training. You just have to put the time and effort into it. And that is it. Yes. Fabulous work, everyone. You can relax and know that you just put in a lot of good work. In just 20 minutes, we did so much for the core, shoulders, chest, the back muscles, the shoulder blade muscles, the rotator cuff muscles, all those good muscles that are keeping you nice and healthy and strong. And now I'm just going to go through a cool down exercise, which is just a simple arm swing. Now, I recommend actually doing this standing up. I just did it on my knees for sake of the video. But if you do it standing up, you can let your arms swing a little bit more. And the point here is to release the tension from the arms and the shoulders. We just use so much muscle and contractions. Now we just want to lighten it up and kind of let things just lose or let tension melt away. You can do as many of these as feels good for you. Take your time with it. If it feels really good, do it for a few minutes. Sometimes I'll just sit here and swing my arms for multiple minutes at a time. Okay, guys, that is this upper body workout. I appreciate you letting me guide you. And as always, I'll see you tomorrow.